Hey everyone, and welcome back to Rank and File Sports with Jonah and Connor. Today we're going to be continuing our schedule previews with the Ohio State Buckeyes. We are going to be releasing these videos one every single day and coming out in the order of our way too early top 25. So please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on your favorite team's video as well as our official team by team predictions over the summer. So looking at Ohio State's schedule, starts off with three straight home games, total of seven over the course of the season, 5 games on the road. So we gave it an overall difficulty of just 5 out of 10.
Obviously, starting with Texas coming to Columbus, the college football playoff semifinal rematch from the Cotton Bowl. Very highly anticipated game. Two young quarterbacks, Julian Say and Arch Manning, with a lot of potential. It's going to be a very interesting game, given it the 50%, because it's a toss-up. It's going to be most likely the number one team in the country versus the number two team in the country. Could go either way. Arch Manning, with his limited experience playing last season, is it enough to beat out an Ohio State team that is coming off of a national championship? The following week, Grambling, it's going to be an 100% win for the Buckeyes. Following week, in-state game against the Ohio Bobcats. It's been a while since these teams have played each other, so it should be a highly anticipated game in that regard. But from a football perspective, score-wise, doesn't look like this will be a very close game. Ohio State should handily win this.
Coming out of that first bye week, the Buckeyes are actually going to start Big Ten play on the road, going to Washington. Washington kind of struggled a bit last season. Uh, might be a little bit interesting. Obviously, the last time the Buckeyes went over to that area, they did lose to Oregon. Oregon is a much better team than Washington, so the Buckeyes should get it done, but it's still a very tough environment with the way Washington has their stadium designed. Then next up is going to be Minnesota. This one's at home. Should be a pretty easy win for Ohio State. I think Minnesota might be a little bit underrated next year. But with this game being at home, I really do think Ohio State gets a win there. Now, these next two are actually pretty interesting. Illinois has a really easy schedule next year, and they have a decent amount of talent coming back, including Luke Altmaier at quarterback. This is a solid Illinois team that could potentially be a trap game on the road for Ohio State, so maybe a loss there. Still but going to be favored for Ohio State. Buckeyes should win, but definitely one to watch out for. And then after that's going to be Wisconsin. In my opinion, Wisconsin, they should be decent next year, maybe, around a 7-win team. Haven't had a chance to look at their schedule completely yet, but they're a decent team. I don't really see them being able to beat Ohio State, even though they'll be the home team. So pretty solid stretch of 4 games there. Nothing too difficult aside from the Illinois game heading into that second bye week.
And coming out of that second bye week is, I would argue, probably the most anticipated game going into next season for the Buckeyes. It is their home game against Penn State. Highly anticipated because they will be going up against their former defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. It's going to be a very, very good game. Ohio State obviously has consistently beaten Penn State over the last decade, except for the one game back in 2016. But this Penn State team is returning Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, and Katron Allen, along with having an already solid defense that is now going to be led by Jim Knowles as their DC. So this game is going to be very, very interesting. We do have it at a 65% for the Ohio State Buckeyes. At Purdue the following week, it's this isn't like the Urban Meyer led teams where we're expecting that they're going to lose to a arguably a bad Big Ten team. But because it is Big Ten play, we are going to not have it as 100%. But this should be a fairly easy win for the Buckeyes just because Purdue is in a very, very rough spot coming off of one of the worst seasons they've ever had. UCLA kind of in the same boat, really disappointing season. Um, 95% just because it is that Big Ten conference game, and also they will have UCLA coming to Ohio following week against Rutgers. Rutgers is on the come up. They're a very talented team the last couple of years, going in the right direction. But since it is a home game, and because Ohio State is expected to still be one of the top teams in the country, we are putting that at 90%. And then going to Ann Arbor to face the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan looking for 5 wins against the Buckeyes in a row. Ohio State looking to end that streak. It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, the game being in the big house is a huge factor in this game. Bryce Underwood is most likely going to be taking the helm for the Michigan Wolverine offense. So it's going to be a battle between Bryce Underwood and Julian Sayin. Can Ohio State get out of their own heads and beat Michigan without trying to prove that they can do it by being the tougher team? Can Michigan make it 5 in a row with a defense that has controlled Ohio State the past couple seasons? It is going to be a very interesting game, and for our prediction, it is one of their games that we are expecting them to likely lose, but it will be kind of a toss-up depending on how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, kind of like you just said, there's really three games that stick out to me right here with Texas, Penn State, and Michigan. Maybe a fourth one there at Illinois, like I was kind of saying earlier. But yeah, right now I'd say Ohio State's probably going to lose two out of those three. I do think that as of right now, early in this offseason, I feel like Ohio State is going to lose to Michigan again next season. And then I'd have them also dropping either Texas or Penn State. But really, two out of any of those three, you can kind of put it any way you want with, I mean, you could do Texas and Penn State as the two losses, and maybe Ohio State does get over the hump and beat Michigan. But for right now, I'm thinking that Ohio State will end 10-2 next regular season. What do you think, Connor?
I'm kind of in agreement. Like you said, those 3 games, Texas, Penn State, and Michigan, are the 3 games to look at, with Illinois also being an interesting one. Uh, I'm on the fence between the Michigan game. I think that Ohio State, with winning the national championship this past season, has learned from their mistakes from that Michigan game. I do think they will come out with a better game plan. And so I'm on the fence between Ohio State having 2 losses and those being to Penn State and Texas, or even having 1 loss, and that's going to be between the Penn State and the Texas game. Uh, Overall, even though we did give this schedule a difficulty of 5, there's 3 huge games on this for the Buckeyes that could make or break their chances at competing for a Big Ten championship or even a national championship and going back to back.
Yeah, so looking at the 2025 projections, obviously last season Ohio State won the national championship going 14-2. So looking at this year, when you add up all of those percentages we had on the side there, it gives our projected record at 9.75 and 2.25. So just under 10 wins, but we are going to go with 10-2 as our official prediction. With, like we said, those two losses coming out of Texas, Penn State, and Michigan. And then the official over-under is at 10.5 with a favor towards the over. So Vegas seems to be liking Ohio State to go 11-1, which is definitely understandable. I can see a path for them to get there. Honestly, it's not too surprising if they do. But yeah, overall, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again tomorrow with another schedule preview.